Hello, everyone. This is another Black Conservative. I am Ryan Clifton Bowling. Thank you for joining me. I want to get right down to it. I'm a firm supporter of owning guns. Of course, owning guns legally. Okay, I'm a firm supporter of that. Of course, obviously, I don't think that someone who's a nutbag or a crazy person, that's obviously a crazy person, and that's obviously mentally ill or whatever the case may be, I don't believe that they should own a gun. But I believe that we have the right, fundamental constitutional right, as law-abiding citizens to own guns. However, I disagree with Senator Cory Booker's proposal he made, basically, and him and another few other senators, progressive Democratic senators, made a proposal that would require individuals who wanted to register to get a gun to be registered by the Department of Justice first. Now, to me, this is ludicrous. To me, this is stretch. This is the federal government once again trying to put their hands in the lives of the U.S. citizens. They can't forcefully take guns from you, but they'll try their best to try to do it some other way. And they always use, this mass shootings as a pretext or pretense to try to take control. That's what I believe. Now, we're going to get into this article. It's a short article. We're going to get into this article again. I'm going to give you my detailed opinion on why I think that this is a bad proposal and why I think this is a bad move. Let's get right into this. The title of the article is Democrats Push Requirement that would-be gun buyers first get license from DOJ. A group of Democrat senators is pushing to require would-be gun buyers to first require a license to purchase from the Department of Justice. The group of Democrats is led by Senator Cory Booker, and they are pushing the Federal Firearms Licensing Act, Politico reported. Senators Bob Menendez and Richard Blumenthal are joining with Booker to secure the act, which would require Americans who wish to buy guns first to get a license from the Department of Justice. The act states, quote, "It shall be unlawful for any individual to purchase or receive a firearm unless the individual has a valid federal firearms license." Politico noted the Department of Justice license would require both a written firearms safety test and hands-on training, a criminal background check, and submission of fingerprints and proof of identity. The license would only be available to people over 21 years of age, essentially raising the age of gun ownership to 21, end quote. Booker released a statement alluding to Saturday's attack in Buffalo. There you go. Saying, quote, "This is the moment to enact ambitious legislation." I put emphasis on that because these terms, ambitious legislation, and all these terms that they use, I believe are terms to try to incite emotion in the people that listen to them. This is the moment to enact ambitious legislation as a nation. We must rise to it, or we are fated to witness the deadly scenes of this past weekend and years past over again, end quote. Okay. Now, I just wanted to give my view on this. First and foremost, I disagree with this whole idea of them trying to push this idea that we have to be registered, would-be gun owners have to be registered with the Department of Justice. First of all, think about how long that's going to possibly last. This whole fingerprinting and everything you have to go through. I know when I applied for as a corrections officer years ago, go back in the early 2000s, the process was several months. It took several months for me to even get it. I don't remember even how many months, but it took several months for me to even get in. And that's not even with the academy itself. And then with the police academy that I applied, the Cleveland, the police academy, Tri-C College, Community College, it took months for me to register to get in there. All the fingerprint, everything it took. Now you may say that's getting into an academy. That's not the same as a gun. but still you have to meet certain qualifications to get in. That's the point. That's the principle I'm trying to push. So this same principle with going through all of these avenues for a law-abiding citizen to get a gun to me is ludicrous. It's going to take a significant amount of time for them to be registered. What I believe this is an attempt by the progressive Democrats, based on my studies in the past and observations in the present, is an attempt for them to discourage people from getting guns. They can't take the guns from you forcefully. They can't do that. The Constitution forbids it. They know they can't do that. If they could do that, I believe they would. But they can't do that. The Constitution forbids it, and most Americans are not going to let you do it. So the way they do it is through stealth and deception. Okay, they say, well, you have to be registered with the Department of Justice. So you have to go through all of this type of stuff, and then you probably have to be registered in your own state and city. So after you get registered with the Department of Justice, you got to be registered with your state and your city. Probably. That I don't know. But I'm making an assumption right there, okay? But whatever the case may be, I think this is an attempt to discourage people from getting a gun. You'd be like, what's the point in getting one now? I got to go through all of this. What's the point in getting one? So you have less and less people registering to get a gun, which is what these progressive Democrats want. They want less people with guns. Now, I'm going to get to why I feel like this whole idea of getting people registered, by the Department of Justice is foolish. But I want to talk about something a little bit on the other side, and that's this idea that I believe that communism has not ended. The general idea is that people feel that communism ended during the Reagan administration and during Russia, when the wall came down and all that communism ended. It didn't end. It took on a different form, a more pervasive form, a more softer form. Okay. What the communists started doing, they were doing this before then in the early 1930s, but that's a whole nother story with the Frankfurt School of Marxism. I talked about that some time ago, and how they left Frankfurt, Germany, and came here to America in the 1930s and infiltrated the institutions. That's a whole nother story. But how they're doing this now is they're doing it quietly. They're doing it quietly. The progressive Democrats are a variation of the communists. It's just a quieter form of communism. It's not an extreme form. It's a quieter form. See, we have to understand that the communists in countries like Russia and China and Cuba and many of the other countries in the East and so forth, the way the communists came into those countries was through force. And the reason for that was because those countries did not have the constitutional freedoms that we have. So they could come in those countries by force, and they could forcefully take your guns. They could forcefully take your property. One of the things that the communists did in those countries, one of the main objectives was to take the weapons from the people. The reason for that wasn't because they wanted their countries to be safer. The reason for that was so that the people could not rise up or be able to defend themselves against a tyrannical government, which is exactly what it was. In the West, the communists had to come up with a different method. That's where you get the Fabian School of Socialism from in the late 1800s, with the Fabian School of Socialism, or Fabian Society rather, which was formed in the late 1800s in Britain. And that was what that was all about. It was a quiet form of communism, because they figured we can't take over the West by force. We have to do it through stealth, and as the Fabian socialists call it, permeation. You permeate the institutions of the West a little bit at a time, and then you change their belief systems. You demonize capitalism. You demonize ownership of guns. You demonize right and wrong. You demonize sexuality. You demonize all of these things that the West have, and then you take the communist worldview and you elevate it as the viable alternative. You make it look good while you demonize that country's belief systems and traditional worldviews. For example, social justice is just a softer form of communism. But the American people, for the most part, even though they are ignorant they're ignorant to some extent of communism itself, the term itself sounds devious. It sounds nefarious. So the communist infiltrators just change it up to social justice. It's all about bringing equality to everyone. Is it really? We'll find out if people don't wake up. Now, going back to this whole idea of that Cory Booker used the example of the guy that went and killed 10 people, and using that as the premise to say that everyone who wants to get a gun has to be registered with the Department of Justice. Even if they were to get registered with the Department of Justice, that will not stop this kind of action from occurring. I'm pretty sure that a significant number of people who decide to go and mow down a bunch of innocent people with these weapons and these guns, I'm pretty sure a significant number of them are registered. And they may have been law-abiding citizens. But at some course in life, they just went crazy. Okay? You can't predict stuff like that. And you can't stop stuff like that. We don't know the thoughts of anyone. The best bet is to take it for what it is, in my opinion. If the person doesn't have a criminal record, if they don't have a criminal record, all right, and they seem to be a law-abiding citizen, let them go ahead and buy a gun. That's the only thing you do. That's the only thing. All this idea of, well, no, we're gonna have everyone who, even if they don't have a criminal record, they still got to be registered with the Department of Justice. That's not going to stop anyone from wanting to kill up a bunch of people. Think about this. If I wanted to, I'm using myself, if I wanted to just kill up a bunch of people, and you're telling me I have to be registered with the Department of Justice, I'm not going to wait till I'm 21 to do that. Assuming that I'm a younger guy, of course. I'm not going to wait till I'm 21. I'm going to buy the guns illegally. These politicians tend to forget that most of these people that are out here that are not really sane, or that may have a criminal mindset or criminal intentions, get their guns and weapons from the black market. They buy them illegally. They're not going to go to a gun shop and buy these guns illegally. But even if they do, we don't know what they're thinking. Even if they don't, as I said earlier, if they don't have a criminal record, we don't know what these people are thinking. So this whole idea, I think, is just a soft form of communism to take guns or discourage law-abiding citizens to keep from getting guns so that they would not have a way of defending themselves against a tyrannical government that they want to push. I don't trust any progressive Democrats. They're just variants of communists. Now, I can do another video on that and give more detail about that, but I don't trust any of them. I don't trust hardly any politician, but I certainly don't trust people who call themselves progressive Democrats. I certainly don't trust them. In my own city right now, we have a progressive Democrat mayor that just took over several months ago. And right off the back, his policies are funky right off the front. So I'm living right in a progressive Democratic city. Okay, with a progressive mayor, rather. The mayor before him was a progressive Democrat. And guess what? Crime is at an all-time high in the city of Cleveland. Gee, I wonder why. Is it because we have more gun control, less control? I'm just saying. And this is my view on this. So what do you guys think about this? I totally disagree with this. I think this is just the federal government trying to overstep their bounds to control guns for other nefarious purposes. But what do you guys think about this? Leave your comment in the comment section below. If you like this video, press the like button, share this video, and subscribe. God bless you all, and see you again on another Black Conservative with Ryan Boland.